Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we're taking a look at something pretty spectacular, but before I open this up and get into the knife, I have to say a huge thank you to Skylar, Tiger Claw 1517 on Instagram. The E in Tiger is a 3. He sent this for me to check out and to share with you guys. Now this is going to be my first impressions and just kind of an unboxing, but I will do a more full video discussion a little bit down the road, but it won't be a traditional review. We've gone through this before. I'm not going to carry this as long or keep it as long as I normally would for a review. So that's going to change the nature of the video that I put out. So this is a Custom Knife Factory, and you can probably recognize by the clip right away what knife this is, but I'll leave that off for 1 second. I love the stuff that Custom Knife Factory is doing here. So what we have here is replacement parts for most of the components on the knife. We've got a little bit of Russian money here, some stickers, and here is the original clip. Now Skylar has exchanged or upgraded this clip to the Timascus one that's available. Probably most of you who are interested in this knife are familiar with that. If not, you'll see it in 1 second here. So let me get this stuff back in the pouch. Now at least you have an idea of what you're getting. And again, I've got to give a lot of credit to Custom Knife Factory for sending all those parts. Now we have the knife under discussion. This is the Custom Knife Factory collaboration with Rotten Design, John Sorensen. And I've got to say, guys, this is a very, very special knife. This is definitely one of the more exciting things that they have done. This goes right up there along with the Snafu and the Fief 23 and the Fief 20. You know, they're working with some really, really good designers. I've said it before, and I'll remind you here again that you're almost, I don't know, the knives are very expensive for production knives, and that is a bit of an issue for Custom Knife Factory. But having said that, the amount of money you're paying for what you're getting is not that outlandish. The knives are absolutely incredible. They are working on a level that is really second to none. There's no one out there doing better work than they are. It's just really, really spectacular. So let's go ahead and do a quick rundown of the materials that we're dealing with here. After that, I'll give you size and weight, and then I'll give you my initial thoughts. So first of all, you can see we've got a titanium frame lock here, and the titanium has this really cool sort of belt grinder finish on it with a blue anno. Skylar has upgraded this to the Timascus clip. Let me get my fingerprints off that. There you go, Timascus pocket clip there, zirconium backspacer, which is really, really nice. Up front, we have an M390 blade with a very, very aggressive hollow grind. And I've got to say, the grind on this may be my favorite thing about the knife overall. So we've got a pretty heavy stonewash on the flats. Beautiful grinder satin, really, really nice hollow grind here. This is really, really thin behind the edge, even though we've got very thick blade stock to start. And notice that there is a bit of a distal taper. So between the distal taper and the hollow grind, you've got a knife that, despite its 1/4 of an inch blade stock, is actually very, very slicey and a really, really good cutter. Moving on here, we've talked about the blade. There's a top swedge. I didn't really say much about that. Sort of a reverse tanto, all belly there. And again, super, super thin hollow grind that I'm absolutely in love with. Lockup and deployment, it's a frame lock with a lock bar insert. And the way they've got this stop pin here, they've got an internal stop pin for the closed position. And then we've got the external lugs as the stop pin for the open position. All right, the detent is very, very nicely set up here. I will say, if you have your fingers on the lock bar, you can get a little stiff, but it's not that bad. Very, very enjoyable action on this knife. It is on dual row bearings there, and you saw, let's get those out one quick time. So yeah, there you go. You can see those dual row ceramic bearings right there in a close-up. And that, of course, is what the knife is running on. And it is very, very smooth. Now, it's not I don't know. It's actually pretty well balanced is the way I would say this. You guys have heard me complain before about knives that are just an absolute guillotine, and this is not quite that. It's fast, but it's just really, really well dialed in is all I can really say about it. I don't know if Skylar has done anything to adjust this pivot, whether he's put some KPL in there or not, whether he's had this knife open or not. I will say the condition is very, very good. I know Skylar does use and carry his knives, but this one, probably because he hasn't had it all that long, is in pretty nice condition. And I have to say, this is definitely a design that I find myself very, very attracted to. Now, guys, before you go down in the comments and start talking about this, I know there's some hiccups with Rotten Design and people who have been waiting for knives for some time. He's commented on that himself, so I'm going to leave that out of this video and let him speak to whatever's going on over there. Now that we've kind of worked our way through, I don't think I've forgotten any of the details in terms of, oh yeah, there is one detail that I didn't mention. That internal stop pin is hollow. It seems like an interesting choice. I don't think it makes a difference in terms of strength because all it's doing is giving the knife a place to stop, okay? So it's not bearing any forces really. So the strength is kind of irrelevant, but it just seems like an odd choice to put this hole in and allow you to look through the knife. Anyway, I don't think it takes away from the design. In fact, I've got to say, of all the Custom Knife Factory designs out there, this is probably my favorite. There have been a few great ones, but this is really, really, really cool. Let's go on to size and weight before I give you sort of my initial thoughts here. So this guy is 8.5 inches overall. The blade, depending on how you measure, I measured this a couple of different ways, and it lands between 3 5/8 and 3 3/4. So, I mean, very, very close, within 1/8 of an inch there, but it kind of depends on where you can get the ruler to land on the handle here, what number you ultimately come up with. The handle length when closed, all right, and this is a pretty big knife when closed. So we've got almost 5 inches, 4 7/8. It's also quite hefty in this direction, or quite thick, looking at around 2 inches there. And it's fairly hefty. This knife weighs in at 7.73 ounces. Now, you guys have heard me talk about this before. That's a little, up to about 7 ounces, I don't really care. That's a little heavy. They have milled it out internally. I guess I did forget to mention that. So there is some internal milling in there. It's not showing up very well. Hold on. You can kind of see it there. I'll make sure I have a flashlight when I do the full discussion video. That's about the only, it's a little heavy. I could wish for a lighter knife, but the blade stock is quite thick. There's a lot of material here that falls like zirconium backspacer. So the weight is not, unexpected by any means. By the way, the grip area here, if you grip down here, okay, and you can see it's maybe not perfectly set up for that, but it kind of works for my hand. Let you see where all my fingers sort of land there. In this grip, you've got about 3.5 inches. Now, honestly, to me, this knife just naturally feels like this is how you ought to grip it. I really feel like it's designed to be held that way. And in that configuration, you've actually got quite a bit of space. Okay, so over 4 inches, like 4 3/8 inches. So pretty generous room on the handle here, even though the initial measurement from back here is a little short. All right, so what are my overall thoughts on this knife? What's my initial impression? Well, first of all, the design is spectacular. It's a little Strider-esque, and I know people have said that before, but to me, this is superior to a Strider in a number of ways. I like the blade a lot more. I like the feel in hand a lot more. I like the way the detent is dialed in a little nicer. So this is a really, really, this is a knife that gets a lot of things right. It's different, it's interesting, it's visually quite beautiful and intriguing in terms of just a straight design. It feels good in hand. Yes, it's a little heavy, but this is, for something like this, I would call this pretty solidly an occasional carry anyway. And I've got to say, Custom Knife Factory really, really has done something special with the Evolution, done in collaboration with Rotten Design. Thanks for watching, guys. It won't be long. I will come out with a little longer discussion about this knife, where I can comment a little further on, performance and things like that. But at this point, my first impression is just wow. Okay, very, very impressive knife. Thanks again to Skylar for sending this along. This is probably, again, one of the cooler Custom Knife Factory models that I have ever handled, and so I'm really, really grateful that he was willing to let me get a look at this. I won't spend as much time getting ready for the review of this knife. So first, Skylar, if you're watching this, you may have your knife back already by the time this posts. If not, it'll be coming shortly, because I'm only going to keep it for a few days and spend that much time with it. Film another video where I'll discuss things in a little more depth and then send it back to you. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will talk to you soon.